Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the webinar related to the building movement infrastructure. This is a webinar that is a part of a series of online events that the European Network of People Who Use Drugs organized in order to help their communities and other movements to learn more about how the movements are being organized, how people can do fundraising in the current realities, how they can do their communications activities. And so today we have a webinar dedicated to very specific topics, such as fundraising in the era of AI, so to speak, and also to the communications in the current realities. So the second speaker will join us a little bit later, but now we have Artyom Svernov. And Artyom, maybe you could start by presenting yourself and by talking about the new tool that you have been developing, and I hope that will be available to the communities, not only in Europe, but maybe even all over the world later. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm Artyom Smirnov. I'm a software developer with 25 years of experience. I've been interested in AI for the last, I think, 8 years, trying to do something. And today I will speak about how to apply AI for fundraising and generally for your nonprofit. So I'll try to explain 3 simple principles or tricks or, I don't know, things that are relatively easy to implement, but that would really, really improve your results. And close to the end, I will present my tool, which is called Engrant, and which is also AI-based and helps you to find relevant grants because, as you know, this process is really complicated, and some people do some random attempts, and it's not always easy. So let's go. Wait a second, I'm trying to. Okay, so 3 principles. First principle is context. And context is a really hot topic in AI. 2024 was the year of prompt engineering, and everybody was talking about prompts and how to make it better. In 2025, people realized that context is the most important thing. So what's context? Context is some additional information that you give your tool when you want it to do something. So, for example, imagine you have a robot and you tell it, hey, bring me a beer. The robot might make some random movements. It might even go to the shop and buy a beer. But if you say, bring me a beer, it's in a fridge. It's in a fridge is a context here, and this will dramatically improve, although it's just a few words, it will make the process much, much more efficient because it's information which is key to making it easier. And I will give some more example more related to nonprofits a bit later. Control. Control is, if context is when you prepare your AI action, control is like in the process. And without this control, sometimes AI goes into some unpredictable direction because, as you know, AI is kind of not an alive thing, but something that is not as controllable as we would expect from a computer program. And an example of control is when you are walking in some unknown place and you have Google Maps, so you just look from time to time, you look at your phone and check out if you are going in the right direction, or probably if you have taken the wrong turn, then you are just farther and farther from your destination. So with control, you get back to on track, and there's much higher chance that you get to the point. Correct. What's correct? Well, correct is not the best word, but I kind of thought that it sounds nice with context and control. Better word would be improvement. As you know, AI can give you some raw results, can hallucinate, and can, I don't know, whatever mistake was made on the previous steps, they can combine. So correct or improve means not only that you correct some phrases into what it has generated. It also means that you can use AI again to improve it or to move it into the right direction. I think it would be easier to explain when we get back to our profits. So what means context in the context of nonprofits? Give AI as much information as you needed to be more efficient. For example, if you have a nonprofit organization, you can add all your information because without it, it doesn't know what to do. If you have a paid subscription to one of the LLMs like ChatGPT or Claude, you can create so-called projects. And every project can have project knowledge, so you can just upload all your information to the project. And as you get more information, you can upload it also. And the project is and the tool becomes your assistant who knows all about your organization and can give you valuable advice instead of giving advice that is just generic and it can be applied to everyone and therefore useless. The other part of the context is important part. I mean, it's web search. Of course, maybe you know that every LM tool is trained and it's trained, for example, the knowledge that it has got 6 months ago or a year ago. So if you need some current information, you need to enable web search. Sometimes you can also enable other so-called connectors like Google Drive with your documents, etc., etc. But these two are the most important. You don't have a paid subscription. You cannot create projects, but you can also have a full folder of documents, and you can apply it. You can upload it every time. Now, how do you implement control? There are actually two main ways of implementing it. First is instead of giving it a really, really big task, like, for example, write me a proposal. You can split it into several steps. For example, let's create a concept, write a concept note, and then write a full proposal. And on every step, you check the result. you modify the result, and you feed it as a startup point for the next step. This way, we ensure that if some mistake, some hallucination was done in the previous step, it doesn't take us to a completely new direction. So, for example, let's imagine we need funding for preschool, and you tell them, let's write a proposal, and it writes a proposal, and you see that it asks money for one full-time position, but you need 5 full-time positions. Plus you need rent, plus you need janitor, whatever. So writing some preliminary document like a concept, like an idea of the project, list what you need, and then you can edit it, would be much more productive than asking it to write a full proposal from zero. Another way, and this is really, really powerful, is when you give it a task, tell it, before answering me, ask all questions that you don't know the answer for. Because otherwise, the LLM will think that it knows everything, because it's trained in such a way. And if it doesn't know something, some key detail, it might hallucinate. It might invent something. Like in the same example, if you tell the LLM, ask me what you need to know before writing the proposal, it will ask, how many full-time positions do you need? Do you need money for rent? Do you need something else? And after you answer it, you will provide the whole information that it needs. So it's, in a way, it's related to context, because you failed to provide context, so you're providing context on this step. And we get to correct. Correct, in fact, it's review and improve. Because more often than not, we know that the result is imperfect, and it can always be improved. So reviewing the result doesn't only mean that you review it as a human, which you always should, of course, but also you can review it using also AI. And if you give correct instructions and feed you the document, it will tell you, okay, this is clearly AI written, for example, or you can ask it to rate it by several topics. And then you say, improve it, remove all AI artifacts, remove all AI styling, give it an identity, give it a unique voice. And it's really, really effective when you take the result and get it through AI again, so it kind of multiplies its efficiency, because it already knows let's say, so if you have a proposal, it already knows from your first draft what you're going to do, and now it can focus on improving the style, improving the impact, improving everything. Let's see how it works in action. I have prepared a few prompts for you so that sites and listening to me, but later you can download the prompts from here, and I give you 2 examples. One is grant search, and another is for writing proposals. So when you're searching for grants, you can, of course, just type in find all grants for my nonprofit, which is blah, blah, blah. But you'll get a lot of results, and most of them will be useless. And you'll have to go to each result and discard them because you are not eligible. So the best thing here to do is to provide context. As I said, it makes it really, really efficient. But to create context, you can also use an LLM. And since an LLM can go online and search for tool, or you can just provide your organization's name and ask it to do full research for things that are relevant for searching. So before you search for grants, you create a context for your LLM. You can save it as a file, and you can do it only once. And whenever you need to search for grants or write proposals, you can use this context. You can upload it as a file. You can attach it to your project, and the search will be much more efficient. So what's control here? Control, for example, if you created context, what is your organization and what funding you need? You need to control what the AI generated on this step. And you look at the result, you see that, okay, this is really my organization, it's not something else. You got the idea. Maybe the budget is not the same. Maybe we have more volunteers than it says here because this information is not online. Maybe the funding need is not 550,000, maybe it's 500,000. So you correct it using control, and then you give it again to the LLM so that it can search. Now it gives you 30 results. You look at these results, and for each result, you need to somehow, well, okay, it says most of the time it's improve. So you improve it. You again, you ask the LLM to go and research this graph, and it gives you a lot of information. Are you eligible? What are the reasons why you're eligible? What are the red flags? Maybe maybe the deadline is 6 days away. Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe to apply, you need 10 steps, you need partners, which are hard to find, whatever, or maybe you just need to contact them and invite only. So again, the process is you create context once, and then you search from time to time. Control is also once here. And then for every found grant, you improve it by searching additional information. Here's how the context looks in Engrant. In Engrant, you just give the name of your organization, and it researches it for you. So this is the amount of information you need to know, because these are flags. For example, women-led, grassroots. Some funders give money to women-led organizations. Some funders give only to European organizations, etc., etc. Minority survey. And this is how the end result looks like. So what you get from your search is just a URL, maybe the name of the grant, and you research this grant. and you get this kind of information. So is it a strong fit? How to apply to it? There are more details which explain everything about it. Now, writing proposals is also a very important thing, and actually everyone that says AI immediately thinks that AI is just for writing. As I showed you before, AI is for a lot of things, but writing is also really important. People who are trying to write proposals right away, they also get very, very, let's say, mediocre results, generic writing, generic wording. I mean, it's obvious that it's something AI produced. Why? Because without these things, AI just takes all of the proposals in the world and creates something average. But when you start providing context, when you start control it, and when you improve it, the results can be 100x. So, for example, what can we use as a context? We start with the funder here because our purpose is to help the funder to improve our world, let's say. So have AI research who the funder is, what are the values, what are the objectives, what are the keywords, what they want from you, why do they need you, why would they want to give you money? They want to improve situation in this and that field. Next, you say who you are and what you need. We already know that we already did the research of our organization, and we already created a document for our funding need. So basically, track record is also part of this. Now, control, as I said, it's much more efficient when you do it step by step. But also there's a big chance that you haven't provided everything in these steps. So just ask LLM to ask me questions. This is useful actually every time you ask anything from LLM. If it's not a quick question, if it's something serious, some kind of research, some kind of a plan, write me a strategy, whatever. So first of all, you should ask it to ask you. And correct. So again, I saw the draft before and after this step, and this step is a big, big improvement. And for example, before the draft really, really sounds like it was written by AI, but you can really improve it by asking AI to improve it. Engrant doesn't write proposals yet. I'm just doing some first experiments with it. And one interesting experiment is it's more on the context side, is providing it a voice. So what do I mean by that? If you describe a personality of a person who's writing the proposal, it becomes much more unique. I give you an example. So, for example, you want a tool like Midjourney to create a portrait, a young man's portrait. You say, give me a young man's portrait. And that will provide you a generic, maybe it's a drawing, a pencil drawing, but very, very common, nothing interesting. But if you add the camera model, exact model, not just type, and the film also with numbers, the result is 100 times better. It looks like what the best photographer could make. Why? Because when providing the camera model and the film model, we are speaking the language of professionals. So the tool, instead of looking at the million young men's portraits, it looks at 100 professionally made by real professionals portraits, and the results is much better. How can we use it in our proposal writing? We can also add some professional specific words. Instead of write me a good proposal, which is, very bad results, you can say something, write me a proposal that's impactful and helps vulnerable population and other some lingo. And again, the results, just because of these few words, the results will be much better. But of course, if you wanted to give your voice, it's best that you provide some examples of what you are writing. And if you're just beginner, you can provide an examples of writing on some other topics, but important that it knows your voice, your language, like are you using short sentences or long sentences? How to use punctuation? I don't know, whatever. How sophisticated is your language? If it knows that you are not an English speaker, maybe your language is a bit rough and it will take it, but it will be your unique voice. And another idea on the correct part is if you happen to know who will be reading your proposal, for example, you have close connection to this foundation and you know the person, you can also give a description of this person, and instead of just asking, is it good or bad, my proposal? What do you think? You can ask it, okay, you are, I don't know, a woman in her 40s, working there and with this history, higher education, master's degree in human sciences, etc., etc. And you ask it, review it as this person. And you, instead of this generic average result, you'll have a very detailed result from the point of view of this person, which provides much more details, much more advice, because you also want to ask for advice. How do I improve it? So the general idea is not only to provide much more information, like context, but also to provide much more, how do you say it? Well, in marketing, we say niche down, because selling to a narrow group of people is always easier than selling to everyone. So here is also you need to provide some niching down, some whenever you want to go from generic to specific, just go for it. Okay, so this is a short pitch of Engrant. It does real-time search, so there's no database. Yeah. It thinks like 15 minutes is a long time, especially if you stare at the screen. But you can grab some coffee. It provides plain English requirements instead of some complicated bureaucracy language. It also learns from over time. And that's all. So first of all, remember I give it a special page with all prompts that I'm using here. How do you research your organization? How do you convert your one-line funding need to a mini proposal to provide to LLM? How do you write your proposal? How do you evaluate your grant? Everything. And also for listeners of this webinar, there is a special discount, 25% off. You can get it here. That's all. Thank you for your attention for this matter.
Thank you very much, Tom, for this useful and encouraging presentation. Because nowadays there are so many EU programs and so many applications for these programs coming in that we do need the tools that will help us, to promote ourselves and to distinguish ourselves from each other. But I think that actually Anna has a question to that end. She wrote in the chat that what happens if many organizations from the same field or country or region start using your tool and AI helps them with the application process? Would their results differ notably?
Great question. Yes. So my point of view of the AI, everything related to AI, is that it's a servant, it's an assistant, it's not someone. So you should always be on top of it. You should always be smarter than it, and you should always delegate on the things that are like mundane, like time taking much time, etc., etc. With this tool, so first of all, you still have to run your nonprofit, which is the main thing, which is much more important than spending time, hours, as I know, on researching grants. You have much more important things to do. Second, well, in theory, in an ideal world, the grant reviewers should give you a grant based on the essence. So it doesn't matter if you used AI to write a proposal or spend a whole night writing it yourself. Important thing is how much impact you can bring to the world, how much improvement you can bring to the world with this project that you are trying to fund. What will Engrant help with is level the field. So, for example, if you are good in helping people with your nonprofit, but you are not good in navigating bureaucracy, you are not good in putting your brilliant ideas into words, you are not good in, I don't know, spending a night writing a proposal so that you can submit it on time, because all day long you are helping people. In this case, Engrant helps you to get your funding, which is good. And if there are much more applications, then there should be more funding. That's all.
Thank you, Artyom. Anna has a question. Anna, please, have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. That's precisely what I mean. There should be more money, but there is no situation in which there is more money. There is only a finite amount of money. With the US funding gone, right? Everybody relies on the European funding, or mostly European funding. So imagine organizations used your tool, and it's the same donor and the same call for proposals, and it levels up some. Kind of everybody gets on the same level. There's the same level of quality in applications. How similar the applications are? How does Engrant, how can they stand out? For instance, if there are many others, because, well, everyone who is using AI, well, unless you tweak it a lot, and if you are not good with words, you can't really tweak your text much, right? Because you don't know what's the best way is. So you risk ending up in this very high level, new high level average. How do you stand out? Is there any capability in the Engrant to help all the various actors stand out in the same call for proposals?
Okay, now I understand. So again, in ideal world, and it's not always true, because I heard that evaluators started using ChatGPT-2 because, and also they started, of course, they using the free version. So, but anyway, there are two things that determine your success. First is your concept, how do you impact the world? And second is, how good are you at writing? So without AI tools, people who are better in writing, but not necessarily better in improving the world, are winning the proposals. And the ones who deserve the money the most, they are losing it. Now, the AI tools are leveling the field. So supposedly the ones who are better in helping the world have more chance of winning it, and among the same call, among the same grant, with multiple appliers. Okay, everyone has similar proposals, but not everyone has the same projects. Okay, because every nonprofit is unique, and this is, by the way, one of the key things in Engrant, because Engrant realizes, unlike other search-based applications where you just match the checkboxes and choose your field and choose this, this, and this. So Engrant sees you as a whole. But anyway, the idea is that every project is different, every nonprofit is different. And as I said, every voice is different. So Engrant is trying to make your proposal also unique, because it starts with choosing your voice, and it starts with choosing your unique angle. So everything goes into the proposal. And it is so that your idea, your impact, your project, your vision has a same chance as the other guy who is better with words, who finished some courses, who knows we need excellence, impact, implementation, whatever. Who knows how to put all the keywords into the right places. Now you have the same chance, but of course your project is better, so your chances are also better. You stand out with project, not with writing. Is it? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, people will start using the tool and they will see for themselves.
I must say that what is working now and what is tested and what is open to the general public is searching for grants. Proposal writing is just, some code that I can run myself from my own computer, and I invite everyone to reach out to me. We can have a call, we can discuss your idea, your proposal, we can write it. That's for free.
Thank you, Artyom. I think that Magda has also written in the chat that she doesn't feel comfortable with machine learning taking over our ideas. And I think this is the main critique of LLMs and AI in general, that people tend to delegate too much to them. They tend to delegate critical thinking and some other stuff. But I think you mentioned it already, that it's mainly for dealing with mundane tasks, that it's mainly for dealing with some technical objectives that you may have as a nonprofit. And in this sense, I think your tool really helps to avoid this workload, but at the same time, the ideas will be yours. And I think this is what you've been talking about, that and even in terms of the evaluators, so people will still see that if it's an idea that has a lasting impact, and no AI will be able to invent something for you, because otherwise, if they invent too many objectives and too many tasks for your nonprofit, you won't be able to do it in the end, at the end of the day.
Yes, of
So
course.
I think it's also important. And I have a more general question in terms of AI. So what do you think about this critique that it consumes too much power, that it impacts climate, that it has somehow that it's taking agency from people, that it disrupts their critical thinking. So what is the main driver for you here? So how do you deal with this kind of critique? Thank you.
Okay, so tough question. I just had a talk with my daughter 2 days ago. She keeps saying that AI is bad for ecology. It consumes too much water, too much electricity. So I didn't know what to answer, so I did a research. By the way, I highly recommend a new tool called Manus AI, which is for research. I don't know, I really love what it does. It's not as bad as people are painting it, of course, and it gets better. For example, if we look at emissions, I think it was about 1% of all emissions. And with water, it's mainly consumed when you train the AI, not when you just write it, something to it. But anyway, it gets better. They invent better way of dealing with it, with water, electricity, etc., etc. So regarding disruption, that's a tool, you know. So on one hand, when people invented calculator, everybody said that all people now cannot put two numbers together. They're getting stupid. What I see from webinars, from videos, from tutorials is that people don't get less smart, people get smarter because that's all of a sudden they can have they can do much more. So for example, marketing managers become programmers. All of a sudden they build tools for themselves without asking programmers. And every time something new, a new dimension opens, smart people get smarter, but probably people who don't like to have much more effort to be more productive, people who are lazy, they finally find their happiness that they don't need to do anything and they can just give their lives to a machine. So yeah, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I mean, it's certainly good that there is an opportunity. How do you use it? It's on you. Sorry, I'm a little bit chaotic here, but I hope you get my point.
Thank you very much. And I think that a lot of people are open-minded about it, but at the same time, you know, they tend to fluctuate in their thinking about it. So one day it's useful, the other day it's damaging your brain, and the next day it's still useful. So I guess it depends on what we do with it and what safeguards we have in place. And this is why it's extremely important to have ethical regulation of AI. It's extremely important to have some oversight for AI. You know,
Yes,
so
yes,
because
for sure, for sure.
all of us heard about these horrible things that Elon Musk's AI engine did, and yeah, some other stuff about AI. So this is why I think it's also extremely important for us as movements to advocate for responsible AI. You know, for for some safeguards in place, especially for adolescents and for kids. Okay, so we are actually almost close to the ending of our webinar. Unfortunately, the second speaker can't join because they have technical difficulties. Maybe we will have a separate webinar for them. Do we have any questions left? Maybe something to add to what has been discussed? Irina, please.
Yeah, hi. I was just also curious because I decided to attend this seminar because it was more about the non-profit as a focus. And I'm curious about this direction just and what I heard here was sounded a bit surprising for me because I mostly work with research universities and research organizations and EU funding. So I mean, I know this field very well, but I know also there are some, not some, but quite many programs, EU-funded programs that are aimed with the combination of research institutions together with the non-profit organizations. And also, for example, this summer, I was also assisting, and we were submitting several projects. What I noticed that all consultants use quite actively AI to write the grants or to test them or to make this kind of evaluation. And those people mostly work with the universities and the research centers. And so for me, it was not even kind of the question, should we use it or we should not, because how it will help. But yes, everyone does it anyway. And then it comes to the questions. And in this community of research managers at universities, there are plenty of events, how to prompt correctly to get the winning proposal, how to do it really the best way to make it outstanding. Even if it's 15 over 15 scores, how to make your proposal much better than the others. And so what I heard here is like, it seems like it's like a new field for the nonprofits. Like, why is that? So because nonprofits don't have people, don't have time, don't have capacity. What I would be really curious also to find the way to the nonprofits, because what I saw that research institutions, when they participate in some topics, there are many universities. Then they look at how the consortium is composed, and they check also the people, of course, the publication record, but then also they want some action. But the problem is that research universities, they don't make any action. That's done basically by the communities, grassroots organizations, by the nonprofits. And there is really no connection between nonprofits and research centers, let's say. And then they say, yeah, I know many years ago there was a PhD student, now she runs the organization. Maybe this is a potential partner. And I was really curious about, I don't know, where to get this data set or like the tool that, for example, can you just put the topic and we have this member, this member, this country, and can you show us, illuminate the organizations that are from not-profit sectors that really that we combine not really the direct action, but that will push their work to push the impact based on the research, evidence from the research action. That's what I mean. I was just curious if this tool can have this option, kind of not connecting, but really
Yes.
illuminating the way to the potential partnerships. Because even, if you take this culture equity research program of the European Union, they don't fund only the research action. They need also some cooperation between the evidence-based research and really someone of nonprofit who would really push it. So for example, if we develop an educational app, so that really needs some nonprofit who will working with these groups of population to introduce it and to test it and that's also our not just have an access, but also aware about all these ethical issues that come together with the results of the outcomes of the research and proposal. What do you think?
Okay, so first of all, about nonprofits. People in nonprofits are much less technical, as you know, probably, and their mindset is more on for human contacts. So some people from nonprofits say, we don't need search. We have personal contacts with all the funders, which is impossible for European funding, of course, because personal contacts with a funder is corruption. And I know that, for example, in the US, maybe in Europe too, just because of this potential issues with ecology and with whatever. People are actively anti-AI. People, if you read, for example, on Reddit, some people say, how can you even use it? This is against all our values. This is, yeah, so this is why it's not really so well known, and people don't know how to use it properly. About partnerships, yes, and even if we take smaller grants, sometimes a grant requires you cooperation, especially in Europe, between separate non-profits. Like one is Baltics, the other one is Northern Europe, the other one is in Ukraine. So, I don't know. This is on the roadmap, but this is not. This is something that you can do yourself. So, for example, there is a link to Manus in the chat. Just as I explained, create your organization's profile, create a one-page document of what you are looking for, and load it, attach it to the document, and ask it to research. And in 5 or 10 minutes, it will bring you the list of potential partners. If you, for example, the European portal has a history of projects. So past participants are all online. So if you are looking for partnerships between institutions and businesses and whatever, and Horizon, whatever, this online research can you give who is better. And even if you have a concept, for example, you can give it a concept, and it realizes that, okay, we need a partner for research, partner for implementation, small business, which is requirement in the grant. And for every role, it will provide a few candidates. So this is how you do it. Was there a last question?
Yeah, that's how we do it. But I was curious, really just to find out the way to save time, because you always get this list. You can always even get any list from the Google search or whatever search engine. And then you have to make a work to analyze, to check. And sometimes I notice sometimes it is the organization that didn't have previous funding, but really does exactly what is according to the value translated from the topical, and that can be improved by the action, the research action.
Yeah, so Google will not help you with this, but the tools that do deep research will help you, as long as you give them your conditions and as long as you provide the link to the grant eligibility page, because this is the most important thing. Do you want to pick on organizations that have past funding? Do you want to pick an experienced organization? Do you want to find a consortium coordinator somehow? At least you'll get a short list. And
No, you get quite long
call
lists,
everyone.
even and sometimes you don't even take a non-government, non-profit organization as a partner because it's too much bureaucracy for them. That I also learned as well. But you take them as subcontractor, and then they are not really shown up in the list of, for example, you funders.
Yeah, that's
And
possible.
but still, still it is, because subcontractor is just some services or the implementation, and then the organization, the beneficiary, actually gets the funding and works with it. And then in the best case, you get the name from the publication because also thanking for the platform or for the
and experience, so that next time you can apply as full-time partner.
Yeah, if they want, but it also brings a lot of management and coordination for the organizations. I don't know if nonprofits really have resources for that, but
Yeah.
no, but my problem is really when I get potentially take all the European countries or the Eastern Europeans and associated countries, you get a huge number of nonprofits, and then you just need really a lot of work to do, analyze each of them to find really who can, and then you. Even if you do this, you get list of, let's say, shortlisted 10, and then you try to contact them, and then maybe 3 of them will be interested, maybe. And then the problem is that they actually have no idea, and they don't really that much want to develop idea how this research-based action can be implemented in the real life. But and that's why I was really curious if there is some tool that can save my time.
No,
Based on my creativity, creative questions, my creative prompt, just really find the right 3, 4, 5, okay, 7 organizations that.
No, unfortunately, I don't know.
No, okay. It's a pity. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that we can end our webinar here. The recording will be available, so it will be sent to the emails you registered with, and also it will be available on our social media channels, so please share it widely. And again, Artyom, thank you very much. I hope that you will have more and more users of your platform, and yeah, that it will make life easier for networks, for nonprofits, because it's always about a lack of people. You know, it's always about a lack of resources, and at the same time, you do need resources, but you lack resources to attract these resources. So it's a constant conundrum, and I hope that your tool will be able to somehow alleviate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, and see you next time. So thank you.
See you.